Hello and welcome, dear friends, at Lit eCity, the YouTube channel of your choice for English literature. And in our latest series, Great American Novels, we are going to discuss three very popular and critically acclaimed American novels. That is The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald, The Chocolate War by Robert Cormier, and Ordinary People by Judith Guest. I hope you will enjoy this session. The very first work which we will discuss is The Great Gatsby, whose author is F. Scott Fitzgerald. He is considered as the spokesperson of the jazz age of 1920s. It was published in 1925, and the setting, as I have already told you, setting is the New York of 1920s and 30s, the naughty generation 1920s. If we talk about main characters of this novel, the central character, the protagonist on whose name the novel is based, is J. Gatsby, and he is a millionaire. He is a very rich person, but there is no exact information about his past. Then we have the narrator, Nick Carey. He narrates the story. There is Daisy, the love interest of J, and around whom the whole story revolves, and Tom, who is husband to Daisy. If we talk about the story, this novel is considered to be the best expression of the jazz age, and it shows the consequences of this age's attachment to false material values, and it also critiques the callous and morally irresponsible society of rich Americans just after the end of First World War during 1920s and 30s. The novel is divided into 9 chapters and recounts the rise and fall of the mysterious millionaire J. Gatsby, and it is told through the first-person narration of Nick Carey. The story is in the form of an account given 2 years later after, so it's a quite recent memory. It is 1922. Nick, who is a bond salesperson, he has just arrived to West Egg, Long Island, and he is seeking his fortune. Now, Nick doesn't know anybody here except his distant cousin Daisy Buchanan, who lives with her husband Tom Buchanan at East Egg across the bay. Now, there is this division. On one side, this is West Egg, and on the other side, East Egg. Nick is invited to a dinner party, and there he for the first time meets Jordan Barker, who is a very self-assured young woman, and he is attracted towards her, we can say, confidence. He also comes to know during conversation that Tom is having an extramarital affair about which Daisy also has this knowledge. When Nick returns home, he sees for the first time his neighbor. Though he doesn't meet him, he sees that he is standing in his balcony, and he is extending his arms towards a green light in the opposite direction. Tom takes Nick to meet the woman he is having the affair. She is Myrtle Wilson, wife of a garage owner, George Wilson, and they live in Valley of Ashes. Now, Valley of Ashes is an industrial wasteland outside of New York City. Nick goes to her apartment along with Tom, and there, when he is discreetly sitting outside, Tom and Myrtle make love in their bedroom, and then Myrtle invites some of her friends. As they are getting more and more drunk, Myrtle starts to taunt Tom about Daisy, and frustrated and in anger, Tom punches her, breaks her nose, she is screaming, bleeding, and the party ends abruptly as Tom and Nick leave there. Nick is next formally invited to a party which is thrown by Gatsby, where he once again meets Jordan. He is very relieved because at least there is someone with whom he can talk. At the party, some people are praising Jay Gatsby, while other are talking under their whispers about the mysterious means through which he has become rich. Suddenly, there is some talk about next day, and Nick finds himself next to a very handsome man whom he doesn't recognize. Actually, he is Jay, and he is impressed with the handsome dandy that Gatsby is. Jordan is invited to the library of Jay Gatsby, and when she comes back, she tells Nick that she has an exciting news, but she can't reveal it. Gatsby also, after a few days, takes Nick to a lunch, and there he tells him more about his past, how he basically makes some money before the war. Here, Gatsby introduces him to Mayor Wolfsheim and introduces him as his business associate. But actually, Mayor is a notorious criminal also. And when Tom suddenly arrives there, Gatsby becomes visibly uncomfortable, and without introducing each other, he leaves from there. It is Jordan who later tells Nick that what was the reason of Gatsby uncomfortableness. Actually, Gatsby was in love with Daisy before the war, and she also hints that maybe they are in love with each other even now. Jay then asks Nick to arrange a meeting with Daisy, and Nick asks Daisy to come to his apartment there when they are having tea. Jay also appears, and then they all go to Jay's mansion. Jay is nervously excited because when he takes her on a tour to his mansion, he displays all his wealth, and he is basically quite machine-like in his expression. Actually, he has been waiting for the day for last 5 years, and after initial hesitation, there is a radiate pair. We can see that they both have revived their affair. Nick then recounts Gatsby's past. He was actually born James Gatz in North Dakota, and when he turned 70, he changed his name to Jay Gatsby. He was introduced to the world of wealth and power by his mentor, Dan Cody, a gold baron. Though he didn't have any money from Dan Cody, but somehow he manages to build such a vast business empire. One day, Tom meets Jay at his mansion, and he is unimpressed with the ugly display of wealth and takes an immediate dislike to Gatsby. When he next pays a visit to Gatsby with Daisy at a party, he is quite rude to him. Nick realizes actually Gatsby and Daisy dances there, and Nick is observing all of them. He realizes when they have left that Gatsby wants to renounce her marriage, her relationship with Tom, and start living with Gatsby as if the gap between them hasn't occurred. But Nick knows that it is not possible. Gatsby has now stopped throwing lavish parties because his sole reason behind these parties was to find a chance so that Daisy may arrive in one of the party and to meet her. Daisy invites Gatsby, Nick and Jordan to lunch at her house and somehow to settle her score with Tom, because Tom is also having an affair. She reveals quite blatantly her feelings for Gatsby, and Tom is very upset with this thing. Next, they all go in two cars. In one car, which is of Tom, Daisy and Gatsby are there. Gatsby is driving, and in another car, Tom, Nick and Jordan. Tom stops midway at George's garage, and Myrtle is standing in the window, and she mistakes Jordan to be Daisy. They all arrive at a hotel, and Tom and Gatsby have a bitter confrontation in which Tom insults Gatsby for his low birth and reveals to Daisy that Gatsby's fortune has been made through illegal activities. Gatsby, he is very much humiliated, but still he asks Daisy to show or to openly confess, declare her love for him, but Daisy refuses. Tom now wants to rub more salt to show that how Daisy is totally subdued to him, and he allows Gatsby to drive Daisy back to her home. When they are returning, Daisy is overwhelmed and driving, and in her distressed emotional state, she hits Myrtle, and on the moment, at that particular spot, she kills her. Nick advises Gatsby to leave town until the situation calms. Gatsby, however, refuses to leave. He remains in order to ensure that Daisy is safe. George Wilson, husband of Myrtle, is mad with rage looking for the culprit. Tom informs him that Gatsby was driving the car, and Wilson shoots Gatsby while he is in the swimming pool. He also commits suicide. After the murder, the Buchanans leave town. Nick stays back to organize Jay's funeral, which is attended by only a handful of his companions. Though Wolfsheim is there, but Nick realizes that Gatsby has very few real friends. Thoroughly disgusted with life in New York, Nick decides to return to Midwest. Before leaving, he visits Tom a last time. He tries to defend his actions, but Nick is not satisfied. In the end, Nick realizes that it was only Gatsby who tried to live his dream, who tried to fulfill his dream, and this makes him great. So this is a novel in which Fitzgerald has beautifully, movingly, we can say in a very comic, satiric, but humane fashion, show the fallibility, we can say the weakness of that particular generation. The next novel we are going to discuss is The Chocolate War, written by Robert Cormier, and it was first published in 1974, and its setting is an all-boys Catholic school, Trinity School. Dear friends, the main character of this novel are Archie Costello, who is a bully, who is, we can say, a leader of a school group. Then we have Jerry Renault. He is the protagonist of the novel, a very innocent kind of person. And then there is a teacher, Brother Leon. And the novel actually established young adult fiction as a genre in itself. It is set in the fictional Monument City, which is a small New England town, and it was a groundbreaking work in establishing young adult fiction, young adult literature in a genre in itself. Jerry is a freshman in an all-male Catholic high school, Trinity School. He is desperately trying to be the part of the college football team, though he is not still be able to get a place. Now, in the school, there is a secret organization of students, the Vigils, and Archie Costello and Obi are two important members of this organization. Archie, he assigns to students different pranks which they have to play and which disrupt the college management. Jerry's only friend is Roland Gobert, and he is also known as the Goober. He gets an assignment in the early part of the novel to unscrew desks, chairs, hinges of all the doors and tables. The next day, when students come to the class, everything collapses and falls apart. So it's a prank, but actually this leaves Goober in a depressed mental condition from which he never recovers. Now, one of the most famous ritual of the college is the annual chocolate sales, and Brother Leon, who is at present the acting headmaster and a bully himself, he decides to take the help of Vigils unofficially to increase the sales. There is a twist. The Vigils have assigned Jerry the task to refuse to sell the chocolates. Brother Leon, in front of whom Jerry has promised to take part in this chocolate sale, he is initially angry when he comes to know that Jerry refuses to be part of the sales. But when he comes to know that it is because of the assignment, he thinks Jerry will join after that. Jerry's assignment is for 10 days, means for 10 days he has to refuse to sell chocolates. However, even when the assignment is over, means on the 11th day, to everyone's surprise, Jerry says no to Brother Leon. The Whistle considers this act as a rebellion against them, and they orders Jerry to sell chocolates, but Jerry refuses to do so. The other students start following Jerry and stop selling chocolates, resulting in a decline in the sales and making Brother Leon very upset. Actually, he has taken, we can say, a sort of loan, advance payment, and invested in the chocolates. Leon blames Archie for all this mayhem as he initially assigned the task for Jerry. Archie, now he takes the responsibility for increasing the sale, and he involves all the members of the Whistle, and soon the result is that the sale rises. At the same time, they turn Jerry's life in hell by creating more and more trouble. Please read it. In hell, by creating more and more trouble, they harass him in every possible way. After the sale is successfully over, Archie, to settle scores, pits Jerry against school thug Emil Jenja in a boxing match. In this match, each boxer has to hit what the public or what the gathered student says. Not abiding by rules, Jenja hits. Once again, Jenja hits Jerry with powerful punches until Jerry collapses. Jerry, as he is waiting for the ambulance, tells the goober not to disturb the universe. Actually, in early part, he has told the goober that they need to disturb the universe. It is not worth it. The book ends as Archie displays no remorse for the past and Jerry no hope for the future. Dear friends, there is also a sequel to this novel, and it was also adapted in a very, very hit movie. The third novel which we are going to discuss today is Ordinary People, written by Judith Guest. It is her first novel, first published in 1976, and the setting is Chicago of 1970s. If we talk about main character, the protagonist of the novel is Conrad Jarrett and his parents, Calvin Jarrett and Beth Jarrett, who are his parents. This is a psychological study of a young person. Dear friends, it is set in Chicago of 70s, and it consists of two interwoven stories going parallel. One is told from the point of view of Conrad the boy, and the other is told from the point of view of Calvin, his father. The novel begins in the aftermath of the accidental death of Jordan Jarrett, the elder brother of Conrad, and Conrad's suicide attempt because he considered himself responsible for the death of Jordan. Conrad, who is a young boy of 18, is still struggling with his mental health and is seeing a psychiatrist after being released from a mental hospital. Like his late brother, he is a good swimmer, but now he avoids entering the pool because the water reminds him of his dead brother. Conrad's parents, Calvin and Beth, are also trying to cope up with the tragedy of their elder son's suicide, but they both prefer to suppress their emotion rather than expressing their grief. They both have different approach towards Conrad's mental condition. And in this manner, Calvin finds himself torn between the mother and the son. Conrad begins to recover with the help of Dr. Berger. A moment of tension arrives when Beth comes to know about Conrad's decision to quit the swim team. When she confronts her son, Conrad explodes that he didn't tell her because she didn't care about him. It is now Christmas time. Beth and Calvin argues over Conrad's lack of enthusiasm for his new car. Calvin and Beth's relationship continue to worsen, and on the other hand, Conrad is gradually coming out of his depression. He even starts a relationship with a fellow student, Jeannie. Conrad has a heated argument with the swimmer who makes a rude remark on Jeannie, and later, when he feels guilt over it, Calvin tells him to take it easy. Beth and Calvin, they go to Dallas for a trip, and Conrad faces a difficult situation when he comes to the news of the suicide of a friend. He is once again quite mental health is fragile, but Dr. Berger is able to make him believe that he is not responsible for the death of his brother. During their trip, Calvin and Beth have bitter argument regarding Conrad's suicide attempt, and though Calvin tries to reason with Beth, he finally realizes their marriage is almost about to break up. Conrad and Jenny are getting closer on one hand. Calvin and Beth are drifting apart. Beth finally leaves for Europe alone. Calvin realizes Beth still lives in the time before their son's demise and Conrad's suicide attempt. The novel ends on an optimistic note when Conrad says goodbye to Dr. Berger, feels love again for his parents, both for his mother and father. Ordinary People was also adapted into an Academy Award-winning movie directed by Robert Redford, the famous actor. In fact, this was also the first directed movie by Robert Redford. Okay, dear friends, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed the narration of these wonderful novels. Keep supporting, keep watching, and keep suggesting what can we do to make these channel and videos better. Thank you, friends.